Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Douglas Conservation Commission meeting for Monday, November 2nd, 2020. Time is now 7:06. First item on the agenda, we're going to do a roll call attendance vote. So I get Mike.
Here.
Mark.
Here.
Eric.
Here.
And Katie Grace.
Aye.
And Tracy Sharkey. Aye. So we've got Art as absent. All right, first item on the agenda is going to be 62 Manchog Street, St. Denis Church, earth removal.
Hi, thanks, Tracy. This is Eric Bizette with Allen Engineering here on behalf of Pine Sand and Stone. Looking again at the earth removal plan we submitted for St. Denis Cemetery. Mostly just to provide updates on where we are with things. We've gotten review comments back from planning, from Steve and the commission, the bridge consultant and DEP. And we also have a hydrogeologist looking at the groundwater elevations out there and possibly making some changes to the grades depending on what they find. We did some more testing out there, more test pits. And so we have more information now, so it's likely to lead to some changes in the plans.
Okay.
Another thing that we're doing also is looking at alternatives, alternative access points to get into the site. I know, I think it was Mr. Nederazic who was at one of the previous meetings and suggested that we look at coming through his property. So we're taking a look at that, and then also looking at coming in through Maniac's property on West Street as a possible option. This is as an alternative to the stream crossing. So those are two things that we're taking a look at now. We're looking at the wetlands, possibly flagging some more wetlands coming in from the Maniac property on West Street. One thing that would help us out if the commission has had a chance to look at the stream crossing. What we're trying to do is just nail down the location of that crossing. I know Steve mentioned at the last meeting, you know, there are narrower places to cross the stream, but we're kind of locked into where we had proposed it because we wanted to stay out of the rare species habitat, and we also wanted to keep it on our property without having to go on, when I say our property, the church property, without having to go onto the Maniac property. Just because the Maniac's property was not included in the limited project proposal portion of the project. So I was just wondering if, so what we had proposed on the plan was a 30-foot wide crossing with an 8-foot span. Steve, I know, had a question about the width of the stream. It's narrower upstream and downstream, and where we're crossing it is in kind of a flat spot, so it's a little wider there. But the 8-foot span we're proposing, it meets the 1.2 times the full bank width for the upstream and downstream portions of it. It's just right at the exact point we're crossing. It's a little wider than that. And I didn't know if that was going to be acceptable to the commission, or if we need to look at possibly a different location for that. I don't know. Steve, did you have any ideas on that crossing width that we're proposing?
Let me see if I can bring up the, hang on one second.
Yeah,
So
I have
the option for the additional land or the optional location is not listed on this application as part of the project, right?
Right. Oh, the only thing that, right. We've just shown the single location. And then DEP had suggested that we look at alternatives. So That's,
And the
That's what-
alternative is not on your property, the subject property, part
yeah,
of the
there's,
project.
well, they've asked us to look at all alternatives, so, you know, that includes,
Is this plan showing on the screen?
No,
Not yet.
How about now?
So the,
there it is.
okay.
So where are you proposing? I mean,
yeah, if I could, is there any way I could share my screen with you?
Sure.
So, yeah, it's the DEP comment.
the
Steve.
DP had some comments about the bank, you know, because you're what, more than 60 linear feet of bank you're disturbing. You're trying to narrow, weren't you trying to narrow the amount of bank disturbance after, you know, from the last meeting?
Yes, I think we have the width of the culvert down to, between 20 and 24 feet now, which would get us under the 50 feet total, you know, that's two sides of the stream they count. So, if you got 24 feet and two sides, you have 48 feet. So if you're under 50 feet, that gets you out of the wildlife habitat evaluation requirement.
Have you updated DEP? Because their comment is for the bank as 60 linear feet.
Yeah, well, as soon as we're done with the revised plans,
Yeah.
we'll send the revised plans with the response to everybody's comments,
Mhm.
to
Okay.
planning, conservation, and DEP. So, but we haven't done that yet.
Okay. Board, any questions so far on this? I guess, Eric, you're looking for kind of feedback on that crossing location.
Yeah, it's more the span. We have an 8-foot span shown there. And if that's adequate, and then, so the next question is the location acceptable? And just keep in mind that we're only proposing to fill about 400 square feet of BVW. So it's not a big wetland fill there. It's pretty small where it is. And there are narrower points, but it really doesn't result in a huge decrease in the amount of wetlands we're filling because we have such a small amount that we're proposing.
And from your initial application, you did reduce the bank disturbance as well as the BVW, right? Or riverfront area.
Yeah, we will have, by the time we, get the revisions finalized, we'll have reduced those.
So less than
impacts.
half as previously proposed.
Not less than half, but it'll be less. It'll definitely be less.
Okay. Oh, so you did 48, are you saying, versus the 60?
Yeah, the 60 was a 30-foot span or a 30-foot culvert length. So we're looking at between a 20 and a 24-foot culvert length now.
And Steve, nothing back from Natural Heritage, right? Or Eric, nothing back?
Uh,
Oh, yeah, they had initial comments. Oh, from National Heritage or, yeah, I
Yeah.
think they had
yeah,
comment.
Oh,
they had
yeah.
to do-
Yeah, that's right.
But right, but there's nothing, I had comments, I emailed them because the National Heritage had it as a take. And they had some, I think their letter has some provisions that, I think when they do the earth removal or when they do the cemetery, they have to provide some additional information upon doing those activities.
Yeah,
So
so with the take.
Right, so I reached out to National Heritage and asked if the Conservation Commission should do anything about they had a list of criterias, right, Eric, that they were looking for,
yeah, it was conditions.
conditions, and I reached out to them, to Misty, who runs our region of Natural Heritage, and asked her if there's anything the commission should be doing in regards to their letters and their conditions that they'd like to see eventually when the project starts. And I don't know if I might have forwarded that to commission. I certainly can.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much says not at this time. Usually, that's something that they'll address when the project starts.
Okay. All right, board, do we have any comments or questions specifically in regards to that location for the crossing? Mike?
No,
Okay, Mark?
No, I don't.
Eric?
No.
And Katie Grace.
Yeah, so I went out and did the site walk yesterday.
Huh. Wow.
Um, it was a nice day for it. Wasn't as cold and windy as today. So yeah, it was very disorienting back there. I came in like kind of closer to where the river is, found the low spot there where like flags like 8 and 9 are, and then had to backtrack way up to where the proposed crossing is. Not, I assumed it was going to be where it was more level, but I understand that the crossing's not at the place where it's the most convenient. It's at the place where the wetland is narrowest. Is what it looks like you're trying to do.
Yeah, it was, we had to do two things. One is keep it on the church property, and then the other thing was keep it out of the rare species habitat.
Okay, so
Mhm.
okay, absolutely. So understandable there if that's where you're headed. And I walked from there kind of up to the top of a hill, and I'm going to assume that the top of the hill is, this map is upside down from my world. Okay, that's I'm assuming the top of the hill is like right. Okay, I can't point and have it be where you're pointing. It's there. it's thank you.
Yeah, the peak. A
Yeah.
little bit.
And then I walked down the other side and I followed the crawler tracks down through the wetlands again. I didn't go over there. I walked back over where flag B8 is. To follow I walked back over there to follow the crawler tracks and then back up along the riverfront into the cemetery. So I had a couple of comments. One, I was surprised to find that much disturbance in the area when we haven't approved this yet. There was a lot of disturbance from the earth crawler. There's some trees down and a lot of tracks in there, and that ground's very loose. It's not stable. And I worry about, if thankfully it was snow at the time, so it didn't seem to be an issue. But if we had rain, it was definitely an issue. What?
That must be recent because I didn't notice that when I went out there.
It was recent. I took a short video of it on my phone. I wanted to make sure the video captured the wetland flag as well as the disturbed area. And
yeah, so I had the same thing. So when you walk in off the cemetery, you can see you have that dumpster, and then did you follow that natural trail where it crosses that low area?
Yeah.
That's the area where I recommend where you cross the stream where it's very low, where they put the replication. It's kind of down by where there was a couple of test pits.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, you're right. When you come in, it's almost like you have to do a hairpin turn up the hill right where that dumpster is off the cemetery.
Yeah,
road.
absolutely.
Follow that down to where the crossing is.
So I did there, but I mean, what was interesting to me, I did want to note that there was disturbance. So it looks like they had driven a crawler past where the dumpster is, which also my other note was, my gosh, you've got some graves awful close to that entry point. The ones that are in French. And I know that there's a history in this town with gravel removal and cemeteries. So I just wanted to point out to be careful coming past those gravestones. And then it looked like the crawler had been driven along the side of the riverfront and then crossed the wetlands where B8 flag is, that vicinity, had been driven up the hill to the top of the hill, then down the hill, right up to the wetlands where the proposed crossing is. And from there, I don't know. So I wanted to note that there was disturbance from what looked like large machinery in the area. And I wanted to note that that's, if the crossing, particularly if there's like a long-term roadway proposed there, I know because that's for future cemetery use, that, just a note of caution when you're cutting that close to the gravestones.
Eric, do you have any comment on that disturbance?
Yeah, there was a machine in there recently. It was just for the soil testing though. They weren't doing any work in there other than trying to collect information I think there's an exemption for soil testing in the Wetland Protection Act. But that's what it's from anyway.
So there was 3 monitoring wells dug, but I see one, and then Katie Grace is saying it went up and down the hill. So we need to limit the disturbance to just the monitoring wells and testing.
Yeah,
We
they
can't
should
keep
be.
tramping through that area. If there's only, I see 3 on this plan, unless there's more that we don't know about.
Yeah, there was, we originally did 6, and then just recently we put in one more monitor well over by flag C7. And
By
then,
MW1.
yeah, it's between, yeah, right there, right around in there. It's over by C7. So that's where the new monitor pipe is. And then we also dug some test pits in all 3 of the basins to in the stormwater basins, just to confirm what the soil conditions there were.
So is this an old plan? You have 3 basins now?
Yeah, we had the one large one right there, and then there's 2 of them on the entrance road as you come in. There's tiny ones. Yeah, there's basin 2 is right there. And then basin 3 is near the crossing.
So educate me, just because I'm not familiar with the test items that you need to install.
So what we were doing is we needed to run permeability tests on the soils in the basins. So to do that, we had to install a pipe temporarily and run the test in the pipe. It's similar to a percolation test, but it's a little more sophisticated. It gives you a little more reliable results. So that's what we were doing in the 3 basins, was digging a test pit just to see where groundwater was, and then running the permeability tests.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see where you had dug with like an earth machine. I just saw the tracks from an earth machine, and then like I'm familiar with the pipe test points, but I didn't think you would need a machine of that scale to put those in.
Yeah, if they put in, I'm not sure if they put in monitor pipes in the basins, but I know they did put a either an 8 or 10 foot length of PVC pipe in between monitor wells 1 and 6 over there by wetland flag C7. So they needed a small, like I think it was a mini excavator they had out there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
But I mean, obviously, other than that, I would concur with the DEP. Obviously, if the crossing doesn't have to be in this area, that would be nicer. I certainly, agree with the DEP on this idea. But then again, I don't know what the other options look like either.
Yeah, but
Eric, if I bring this plan up, where are the other areas you're looking to come into?
do you have the first sheet of the plan set? Okay, so in the upper left corner, there's property of Netorozic there.
Over here?
Yeah. So it would entail, and I'm not exactly sure of the location. I know Murray Bristol from Pine has been out there and walking through these with them. But it's, yeah, probably along that where it says project boundary, right in through there, and then around the wetlands on the in between the Evergreen Cemetery and the wetlands over by flag C1.
Yeah, Eric, sorry, Murray Bristol Pine Sand. We would actually be going a little bit southwest of that. It's a bigger loop than that, from what Eric's describing, just to let you all know, because there is considerable wetland there.
Is the GIS coming up?
Yeah,
Yep, looks good.
Well, here's the cemetery right here.
Mhm.
Is that around there? So the crossing is coming right about here. And then what you plan on coming, an alternate route is coming this way?
yep, that way, and then around the wetland, the C-series wetland. We didn't flag the back side of it, but yeah, yep, keep going. Yep, right, and then down, yep, just like that. And then around the back way. So it'd be a loop, something, and it's a long ways. We've looked at the feasibility of it. I mean, it's certainly not the preferred way of getting in and out. It's just because would require construction of a lot of roadway.
Yeah, it's probably about a half a mile worth of road.
So you go through multiple property owners?
Correct. So Steve owns parcel number 22, as you can see on the plan. I believe his sister owns 11. So we would have to go in probably through both of those properties, if possible.
Well, who owns this right away? Or this little sliver? You plan on going in through there?
That's actually church property.
All right. All right, thanks. I guess we wait to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah, so and then the other alternative was coming in through Maniac's property from West Street. So it'd be coming in at the opposite end of their property, but we likely have another wetland crossing. Yep. So if you look at, yep, be crossing that, and I believe there's another wetland crossing right around where that pipeline crosses through there. Actually, you can see there's a blue stream that shows on the GIS there. That's probably it.
Now, is this cemetery St. Denis Church?
That one is Evergreen Cemetery.
Yeah, town cemetery.
All right. Interesting.
So,
Okay, so did we determine that that is a sufficient location for the crossing? Or do we want to continue to look for alternatives?
well, if we have, right now, this is what we're proposing is where it's at now. So if we can find a better alternative, then that's what we'll go with.
Okay.
But right now, the proposal is as it was submitted,
Okay,
where it is now.
okay. All right. Okay, anyone in the audience have any questions or concerns in regards to the 62-man chalk? Steve, are you seeing anybody?
I'm not.
Nope. Okay. All right. Are we ready to continue this hearing? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing to, let's see, December 7th, 7 p.m.
So moved.
Second,
Motion made, Katie Gray, seconded by Mark. Roll call vote, please.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mangum,
Eric Harris, aye.
Tracy Sharkey, aye. Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you
All
in
right.
December. Happy
Thank-
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thanks. You too.
Eric,
Thank you.
Are you here for the next one also, or because I didn't get any updated plans? Are you is that your project, Glen Street?
Glenn,
That's Jude.
yeah, it wasn't mine.
Jude is doing that one,
Okay.
I believe.
Is that the same,
Okay,
is that the same firm or is that a different firm?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one at all, Steve.
Okay.
Sorry.
um,
All right, thank you, folks.
thank you. We'll release you.
All right, good night.
Good night. I'm not seeing anyone.
I don't know who's here for, well, we can open it. It's an RDA for 37 Glen Street.
We'll just, we'll come back to it,
Okay.
right? We're not seeing anybody. Next one is RDA, 7 PM public meeting, 34 Conservation Drive. Did I open that?
Not yet.
Okay. Let me just get there. Okay. Did you put in the article?
Well, no, this is a continuation, the violation. so
Okay, all right.
You didn't open it tonight.
That's what I thought. Okay. All right. So this one is an update on that 34 Conservation Drive, the restoration, right?
Right. So they
Okay.
had a plan last week. I'll put it up on the screen. I think Margaret's here. And the commission asked for some revisions.
Okay.
Margaret, can you see that?
Yep.
I like how you're adding the photos to your plans.
Nice.
I think
Great.
that kind of gets the message across.
Yeah, looks nice.
Okay. Name and address.
Okay, yeah, based on the last meeting, the commission had concerns about creating a barrier. So I've put in a proposed split rail fence, and I kind of like to do a combination of a fence, and then you plant it with some native shrubs, so you get the barrier for protection, but aesthetically, it also looks kind of nice with shrubs. And the shrubs that I have proposed are fruit-bearing shrubs that are beneficial to wildlife habitat. So, you know, we meet the homeowner's objective and the commission's objective by protecting the wetlands and trying to create a barrier. And then another concern was removing some of the stumps. And after looking at the plan, a lot of those stumps that I'm proposing to remove are fairly small. Our survey crew located all the cut stumps, and some of them are 4 to 6 inches in diameter. So they're fairly small. There's a couple of them that are 16-inch twin stump, and then there's another 18-inch. But he would like to remove those, and those stumps are in the 50 to 100 foot buffer zone. So based on comments from the last meeting and input from my client, what he'd like to do there, I think I've come up with something that kind of meets everybody's concerns. The barrier, vegetated, fruit-bearing shrubs, and remove some of those stumps. I think planting the shrubs would make up for removing those stumps. I don't think they have that much wildlife habitat value compared to planting shrubs. I think offers more.
Margaret, could you just say your name and address for the record? We have a new minute taker.
Margaret Bacon, Civil Site Engineering.
Okay, and how are they going to be removing the stumps?
Well, some of them are only 4 inches in diameter, so they'll probably just pull them out of there. The big one,
By a machine, right?
right?
We just don't want to get another machine in there and then it cause more damage again and more disturbance.
Correct. Well, he could get a grinder in there to remove some of those also.
Board, what's your thought on this as far as the stump removal?
I don't have a problem with grinding the stumps in place.
Okay. I would almost prefer that too, just because of the thought of a machine again. So you've got how many stumps?
Well, if you look on the plan, I've got several 6-inch stumps, an 8-inch stump, a 4-inch stump. And then I have the big ones. I have two, I got a 16-inch and an 18-inch stump. And another 18-inch stump right at the 100-foot buffer, right at that line.
Okay. All right. So we're not doing the twin 6-inch or the 8-inch within the 0 to the 50, right?
Correct.
We're not doing anything beyond that.
Correct.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, well, 14.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, and I'm just looking on our client's property. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, maybe.
Okay. Could you zoom out for a second, Steve, on this plan? Okay. Could you zoom in one? I could pull it out, but
One more.
So is there work on 2 properties?
yeah.
Yeah, he did go a little too far over, so he's not doing any more work over there.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, Katie Grace.
Yeah, no, it's just I have the plan open on my other monitor and I'm looking at it. So I'm curious about like the 18-inch, the 20-inch, and the 22-inch stump up by just to the right of the well. Are those coming out?
Yes, right below the well. Yeah, I'm sure they are. Those are
That
outside,
whole-
outside the 100-foot.
Oh, those are outside the 100. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Board, any other questions? Has the fine been paid, Steve?
I'd have to ask Maria if she received it. I'm not too sure of that. I can't answer that.
Margaret, do you know if your clients paid the fine? Are they on the call right now? No.
No, and I don't know.
Okay, so I'd be willing to, entertain a motion to issue a decision, but we're really trusting that they're going to pay the very small fine. We did vote on it, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So it's been like,
$300 fine.
yeah.
Yep.
Right, Steve?
Yeah, Maria retired and she just got back from she's coming back part-time, so I haven't had a chance to talk to her in about 3 weeks.
Okay. All right. So it might be in the works. Okay. If there's no other questions from the board, I'll entertain a motion.
I have another question,
Sure.
or actually I might have 2 questions.
Okay.
First question is there a plant schedule on this plan?
Yes, if you look down at the bottom right-hand corner, right there, I've got northern winterberry and high bush blueberry right there at the bottom.
Okay, I see it. And secondly, is there going to be any more filling or grading that will or has taken place since we saw the site this spring?
No.
Because he had spoken of an interest to continue filling and level off the backyard, but that's not going to happen.
I don't believe so, no.
And also, board, do we want to think about a timeline to complete the restoration work, or even some sort of as-built or a double check on making sure that this work will be completed to the plan? Steve, what do you think about that?
Yeah, Margaret, how long you think, what time of year do you think he will be able to finish this, given it's winter?
Um, I don't know, actually. Actually, now's the best time to be planting those shrubs. Actually, now we're in the springtime. So if he doesn't do it within the next couple of weeks, it'd have to be in the spring.
Right. And at least the stump grinding and then the split rail.
Yeah, I wish he was
When?
here. He could answer those questions, but he's not. I can try.
Well, we're going to give him a time frame on completion, and then we're gonna probably want an update from him.
Okay,
I think that can be a condition of the negative RDA.
okay.
So,
Want
you
to give
know,
an update?
May 1. What do you think, Steve?
What was that date?
May 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think that would work.
Board, anything else? So we have a condition of finishing the work, and Steve will verify that the work was done according to the plan and done by May 1, and the fine must be paid within
By next meeting.
my next meeting.
Yeah.
It may already be submitted, so we don't know for sure, but that can be a condition of the approval of the restoration plan.
And then we wanted to condition grinding rather than like
Yeah,
outright
no
stumping.
machinery used to do any of the restoration. Grind the stumps in place between the 50 and the 100 on his property.
And I think there should also be a condition that there's not going to be any more filling within the 100-foot buffer.
No fill, no loaming, seeding. Yeah, that's what he wanted to do, right? The lawn area.
Right. we
Well,
wanted
that's what he was
condition
doing. Yes.
No loaming or seeding outside of, what's obviously on Margaret's schedule here.
Yeah, well, are you proposing bringing in material?
He does want to plant grass back there, yes, between the 50 and the 100.
Yeah, because you've got the shrubs there, but I mean, like, what else?
Is it noted on the plan, lawn?
Proposed activity include remove existing stumps, regrade, and plant with native grass species, existing trees to remain.
Wait, what was that last part? Grade?
No, it says existing trees.
Second to last part?
Regrade and plant with native.
Regrade, yeah.
It's fairly flat out there now. I don't know how much regrading you have to do, and there's also a lot of loam material, probably just regrade it slightly.
Steve, any suggestions?
Well, it looks like he's making lawn.
Yeah. Mark, your opinion, that's what you were hinting towards, what he told us in the field that he wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with him making lawn outside of the 50 if he, I mean, I'd rather be outside of 75,
Okay,
but I think he has to do some regrading and seeding to stabilize the site. So, I'm fine with that.
okay. So no regrading closer than 50 feet.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else want to add anything to that list, the laundry list? No, board, anybody? Seeing none? Entertain a motion?
Make a motion to we're issuing a negative. Issuing a negative with the conditions of no grading inside the 50, no grading outside of what's on the plan, no plantings outside of what's on the plan, and the planting schedule shown. Contacting Steve to make sure, before and after the site is stabilized.
Stump grinding.
Sorry?
Stump grinding. No machinery and.
Right, no machinery in the area, stump grinding rather than straight out stump removal, and has to be completed by May 1st.
Wow.
Et cetera, yeah. Okay, motion's been made.
Second,
Second by Mark. Roll call vote, please.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mangum, aye.
Eric Harris, aye.
Tracy Sharkey, aye. Thank you very much, Margaret. Okay, Steve, next one is gonna be continued.
Next one is Walnut Lake, 107 Walnut Lake Road.
Oh, okay, all right, I see. All right, Alex is here. All right, next item on the agenda is going to be the continuation of 107 Walnut Lake Road, Wallam State Park, Massachusetts Department of Conservation Recreation, notice of intent, public hearing. And name and address, please.
Hi, Alex Patterson, ESS Group, on behalf of DCR. So we discussed this at the last hearing. I don't believe there were any real outstanding issues related to the work itself. We continued because we were still waiting for DEP to issue a file number, which they have as of this afternoon.
Oh, good.
And we were also waiting for feedback from Natural Heritage. They issued a determination last week that included a few minor conditions to avoid a take, which there are no issues with on DCR's end.
What was the file number?
It is 1004.
Could you also forward that Natural Heritage letter to Steve for the
Yeah, I
file?
have it. Is it the
Oh, you
one?
did? Okay,
Yeah, I think I forwarded it to the members. If I didn't, I apologize. Did it come in this weekend?
I think it came in last week.
Oh,
okay, all right. Board, any other questions on this?
Nope.
Okay, anyone in the audience have any questions or concerns in regards to this hearing? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Anybody? To issue the order of conditions,
you're muted,
huh?
ladies. I think Katie's
Uh-oh.
doing.
Yeah, I know. I have to make the motion.
With our standard conditions
It's just standard conditions.
in order, yep. Issue an
Okay.
order of conditions.
Make a motion to issue the order of conditions with all the standard conditions
Did you close the meeting?
for Wallam Lake, or for,
And close the public hearing.
oh, we're just closing the public here. Sorry, I was distracted for a moment.
I am too.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion's been made,
Second,
second and roll call vote.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mangum, aye.
Eric Harris, aye.
Tracy Sharkey, aye. Okay, now you can make your motion
Motion to approve the order of conditions.
and issue it. Yep.
Standard conditions
Okay,
for DCR.
I'll second that.
okay, roll call vote.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mangum, aye.
Eric Harris, aye.
Tracy Sharkey, aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Take
Thanks,
care.
Alex.
Good night.
Alex, just let me, when do you plan on think they're gonna start? They have to go out for bid?
Yeah, it has to go out to bid, so it would be at least,
Right.
a month or two, I would assume. But I can get back to you with a more solid timeline.
Just give me a rough idea, when the time start, when someone wins the bid and when do you think they're gonna start?
Okay, will do.
Thanks.
Thanks.
See you, Alex.
Okay, I'm still not seeing anyone for 37 Glen Street.
Okay.
Shall
Mine-
we entertain a motion to continue that RDA to December 7th?
So moved.
Motion's been Made,
Seconded.
seconded, roll call vote to continue.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mangum, aye.
Eric Harris, aye.
Tracy Sharkey, aye. Okay, new business. Request for determination of applicability, 55 Lakeshore Drive. So that needed to be re-advertised, correct?
No, and it just needed to be put on the agenda.
Oh, it needs to be put on the agenda. Okay, I did read it. Okay.
Good.
All right, so it is, the public
Oh.
hearing was open, it was just not on the agenda last time.
So I guess I could have put it under old business, but. I
That's
didn't.
okay. All right, and for the applicant, name and address, please. If you'd like to just update us, Bob.
Yes, do you hear me? Okay.
Can.
Yeah, I got a blue screen earlier, so I'm back.
Okay.
Bob Murphy, Murphy Associates, environmental consultants representing Jack Goodison, who is the owner now of 55 Lakeshore Drive. We, at a previous meeting, we received an order of conditions for this property that had been subdivided. And we decided that the best way to handle this portion would be to file an RDA that basically mirrors the work that's to be done on Lot B, the adjacent property, which is now 56 Lakeshore Drive. We submitted a site plan that shows essentially all the items that were brought up in the notice of violation. There were three main items: to move a shed that had been constructed approximately 25 feet from the water, the lake. That's to be removed. Remove the stone, broken stone, crushed stone in the lower driveway area. And you can see that's within the 50-foot buffer zone area. So what we're talking about right now is Lot 3. Parcel B has, the meeting was closed and we're actually waiting for the order now.
Yeah, so Bob, can I just, well, I'll stop screen sharing. Can I just make a comment? So we did have the order of conditions signed off on. I finished them this Saturday. I did send an
Okay.
email to Janice. She was asking about it. She asked where they were today. Just to confirm with the commission, did the commission want me to release those before they paid the fine?
No.
So
Well,
Bob,
that was a question that comes up. Who do we make the fine out to? Town of Douglas?
that's it.
Okay, and that's just can like be put in the envelope and put in the box. I just want to make sure it gets,
Yeah, you can put it to Steve's attention, Town of Douglas.
okay,
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Conservation Commission. So Maria,
That
gets-
will, that'll be done this week.
well, right. So I guess so. I guess I just to confirm with the commission until they receive that. The town receives that, they'll hold the order.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a $300 check.
Yeah. Board,
Able to-
you're in
able
agreement
to-
with that, right?
Yeah, we
Yes.
don't have an issue. They realize they've got to pay it.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Anyway,
So-
back to the plan.
Yes, back to-
The fine was essentially relative to parcel B. And what we're talking about, the RDA is for Lot 3. And, essentially what we're proposing is to move the shed, and that's going to be moved away from the lake into an area outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. He plans on filing a notice of intent with locating the shed later. We're actually going to file a notice of intent so that we can build a driveway to the house, drill a well, although the well will probably be outside the buffer zone, and the majority of the driveway should be outside the buffer zone as well. You see where I have shed moved here. there's a stone base right now in that area. We'd like to move the shed into that spot as part of the RDA. And this plan was actually taken, this is actually the Lot B plan. There was another plan submitted that showed the erosion controls going all the way around the lake area. It's not on this particular plan, but there will be erosion controls all around the area to be worked on. There'll be more erosion controls. Might be further down. Anyway, it's basically the same plan. It just has a lot more erosion controls on it.
So as far as your order that you plan to file, you're going to complete all the work under the RDA first before you
Right.
file
Well,
for that.
the way it works is, in order to get the equipment in there to move the shed, we need to come down that driveway. We need to go down the existing driveway. So there'll be some equipment that will go down that driveway. They'll move the shed, spread out the compost from the debris pile. The debris pile is pretty much 90% compost. There's some metal, like old farming equipment junk in there. We're going to take that out and remove it.
Okay.
That's where it says debris to be removed.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that compost is going to be spread out basically in an area where they took it out, replace it. And they'll be using a small bobcat to do that work. It's not no heavy equipment, but the bobcat's going to go down the existing, where the existing driveway was. After we do the work on the shed and the debris pile, move the shed, the equipment will go back out the driveway, and then there'll be no more equipment. And essentially what they're going to do is work their way out by doing all the plantings and everything that are required on the notice of intent. That whole area will be planted, and then there will be no more equipment driving in on that property. But we'd like to, do any work with the equipment first before we do any planting. And actually, the way the weather's been, it's kind of a good thing we didn't do any planting, because we wouldn't want to be in there with the equipment. But essentially what we have right now is a gravel driveway, and we're going to remove the stone. And once the equipment is out of there, we'll do all the seeding and planting.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, it's a
area.
Pardon me?
You're gonna have a little staging area.
Basically, the staging area is pretty much right in front of where the shed is right now. There's a flat area right there that's very flat. And that's essentially where there's really no vegetation there.
Yeah, is it outside the 100?
Or you could put it outside. You could, well, there's really not a lot of staging that's going to be done. We're just going to move the shed and spread out the compost. And remove the stone from the driveway. Yeah, that flat area right there, that's where the stone is going to be removed, and the shed is going to be moved. And then there's no reason to have any equipment in there.
Okay, my computer is frozen.
Yeah, mine froze. Mine froze earlier.
Yeah, we're totally frozen. I don't know if anyone else is. I can't even move anything around.
Yeah,
Does anyone else?
I think the Zoom does that.
You see in the video.
Okay.
Mine is fine.
But anyway, that shed, they'll need a machine to move the shed. And all that area that you see where the stone and everything, that's all going to be planted with grass and stabilized with erosion controls. But you see how flat that area is. That's where the equipment's going to kind of move around. But it's really a case of one day going in, taking out the stone, and
Is
then
this where you're moving the shed to?
yeah, there is. You can see some
Is that where
erosion
you're moving-
controls in there
Is that
now.
where you're moving the shed to? This area here?
Hello? Can
I
anybody?
don't think he heard you, Steve.
Oh, sorry.
I'm frozen.
I understand you're frozen.
I'm cold,
Tracy,
too.
We can't see you either.
Oh, cold too. Yeah, I'm frozen too.
Yeah.
Okay. At least we can hear each other. Okay, so,
Mine froze up earlier. I had to restart it.
so there is gonna be a construction sequence, right? I'm not sure if you have it on the plan because I can't see the plan. I'll use my phone. But you have a construction sequence just as you've explained it to us, right?
Yeah, it's on the RDA. It's
Okay.
on the RDA, and it's described on the plan. In other words, where the stone's to be removed, that's described. Where the shed is to be removed, that's described. Where it's going, that's on there. And then basically this, because it was two properties, we filed separately on the two properties, but the sequence of construction is really the notice of intent and
Right.
the order of conditions.
Yep,
That describes everything that we're going to do on this property. We just had to file two plans because it was two owners.
yep, understandable. That was the right way to do it. Yep.
But it really, what it works out is the only way to get the equipment in is through that driveway, and we don't want to do any work on the driveway, plantings or anything until the equipment is out, and then we do all the planting. And there will be no more equipment brought in once it's planted. As Margaret said earlier, this is really a great time to be planting shrubs.
Is there dormant? Is that because they're going dormant and all the energy is being stored in the ball?
Yeah, they're actually growing roots. The roots are not dormant. The roots will be growing right up until January, and if you have a mild winter, they'll grow all winter. But the tops will be dormant, yes, which is why it's good, because the roots, they're doing all the growth.
Right.
Sorry about that. My computer froze up, so I've got to be on my phone now.
Totally understandable. So I just had one question, because we were talking about a staging area and you're pointing out the area in front of where the shed currently is. And I just wanted to make sure you're not planning on staging things there like overnight, because that is within the jurisdictional area.
No, the actual equipment can be kept up above in the, on the road in the driveway. That'll be outside the 100-foot buffer zone.
Okay.
It's only going to be there. It's not like a staging area where you're doing a lot of construction. We're just bringing the equipment in, cleaning up the stone, moving the shed, and then we'll take it out. There's no need to leave it there 24 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that can be a condition.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure.
Board members, anyone else have any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure, Mike.
Just for clarification, I assume we're on number 5 in the agenda.
55 Lakeshore.
Yes.
That was my question. Is it Lakeshore Drive or is it Lake?
Yes.
Lakeshore Drive, Douglas.
Thank you. Good to know.
Okay, Mark, anything?
Yeah, Steve, could you bring the plan back up? Because I have a question about the plan and some of the locations. Namely, my question is about this temporary location for the building. You're showing a location. Temporary sometimes turns into permanent, and I'm just concerned about that and not knowing. I mean, your jurisdictional lines end right at that building. So, what is going on just beyond those jurisdictional lines, and where's the property line on that side of the plan?
Property line you're talking about to the north?
Yes.
The property line, it follows the water on the plan. There's actually another plan that shows the entire property, but the property line is about 200 feet to the northwest, the other side. The rest of the property just follows, well, that green line, basically the water. That's the property line. But that's all woods. We're not doing anything up there at all. That's all heavy woods. Yeah, if you look north of the north arrow.
Uh-huh.
Mark,
all-
where did you see temporary?
Yeah.
What's that?
Where did you see temporary location?
Maybe it's what he said, but he said the shed was going to move to a temporary location outside the 100-foot buffer, and now I'm seeing it within the 50-foot or outside.
Well, actually, I stand corrected. He is going to build a second shed outside the buffer zone.
Okay.
The shed that you see, the shed to be moved, is to be moved up to where it says shed moved here. And that's about 70 feet from the water.
And that's where it's going to stay?
Yeah, we'd like to put it there. He has there's a stone bed up there right now that was set up for a shed. He did that before he got stopped. And then we decided he was going to put a second shed there, and I told him no. That, the first shed's got to be moved. So the existing shed is going to be moved to where it says shed moved here. And then the second shed is going to be outside the 100-foot buffer zone entirely, over where the marker is now, in that area. If he decides to build one, he wanted to have a second shed, but that would be outside the buffer zone.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And if you look at where the north arrow is, that's essentially where the driveway is going to be. It's going to come down from the road and go toward the house. But we need to file a notice of intent for that. So this is basically, the RDA is just to clear up the issue with the violation notice. And it goes along with the notice of intent, the original notice, existing order of conditions.
Thank you.
Okay, board, any other questions, comments? Eric?
Is there a timeline for this?
Yeah,
restoration?
they want to, they would like to start this yesterday because the sale of the house at 56 is kind of dependent upon whether or not we get approval to do this. So they really would like to do this immediately. Weather permitting, they're pretty much ready to go.
Okay, and let me just get on to your meeting.
This is not really an issue for the conservation, but how can it be 55 and 56 if they're both on the same side of the road? Isn't it usually odd numbers on one side of the road?
No. Here's the deal. 56 wanted access to the water, so they created parcel B. Parcel B is actually owned by the owner of 56, which is across the road. So they have land on both sides of the street.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay, all right.
You back?
Action. Okay, so board, we need to think about the violation fine for this specific property and the specific violations. So we had the disturbance and we had the shed. Is that right, Bob? On this property owner's lot?
Was that a question for me? I didn't get it.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
It was the installation of a shed with the disturbance related to the shed install and the debris, the compost, or
Yeah,
memory just on this property.
it covers, on this property, it covers the violation of 3 points: the shed, the stone on the driveway, and the debris pile. The debris pile is on this parcel as well.
Okay, so the stone's going to be removed. The shed is being relocated. The ground underneath the shed and the stone is going to be allowed to restore to the natural vegetation in that area, and you're removing the debris pile and relocating the shed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So board, what are you thinking for a fine for this these violations? Yes.
as
I'd make a
Hmm?
motion.
100? Mhm,
I was
you
gonna
can
make a motion for the $300 fine.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote.
KG
Mike-
Dudley, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Manjamai.
Eric Harris, aye.
Tracy Sharkey, aye. Okay, and then I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative with the conditions.
Yes.
Moved.
So moved Mark, second KG, and roll call vote.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Manjamai.
Eric Harris, aye.
Tracy Sharkey, aye, and this is for a negative determination of applicability for 55 Lakeshore Drive. Let me just get the owner of the lot. Is it Goodwin?
Jack Goodison?
Goodison, okay. So
Steve.
just clarification in the minutes, this is the 55 Lakeshore with owner Goodison. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. We'll get that right to you.
Okay, Steve, I'll be talking to you tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so Steve, you're gonna inspect the erosion controls?
Yeah, Bob, yeah, just leave me a message. I only work after hours, Bob, so just leave me a message. I'll call you back.
Okay, I'll set that up tomorrow because we'll bring a check by tomorrow as well.
2 of them, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so.
Okay, board. What?
let's see,
Okay. 25
uh,
Ritchie Road,
oh, they're not here.
RDA for the trees.
So I saw the notice. They did send the notice in. I helped them fill that. I filled it out and sent it to them, and they sent it to the T&G.
Yes,
So you could want to.
yeah,
They're not here, but you could probably we can certainly open it.
yep. When was the last contact that you made with the applicant?
I sent them the last week because they wanted if they wanted to give me a copy of it. I said no, it's okay. I'll download it myself, and I gave them a copy of the agenda too.
Okay, all right, let me open this for 25 Ritchie Road, the RDA. Town of Douglas Conservation Commission, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. Legal notice for public meeting, request for determination of applicability. The Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting for Sabina Saina on November 2nd, 2020 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, Mass General Law 131, Section 40. The proposed request for determination of applicability work location is 25 Ritchie Road, and the applicant is requesting permission to remove 2 to 4 trees along the back of the property. Public participation will be via virtual means only pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Douglas Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. The public may participate in this meeting via remote participation. A website for the meeting will be provided on the conservation agenda posted at the town's website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting, October 29th, 2020. Okay, so board, what would you like to do on this one?
I can show you the video.
Steve, why don't you show us the area of the trees?
Well,
Then we can decide if we need to go out there.
I believe so. The streets here, I'm in the backyard. You'll see there's 2 trees right in the concrete here. And then there'll be a tree to the left, which is dynamic, I mean, huge. And then there's actually one that's even bigger to the right. So I'm speculating. Actually, they put 2 to 4 trees. So I'm guessing that this has to be one of them. Given how close it is to the property.
Are the trees marked in the field?
Not when I went out there. a month ago. So, but you can see this tree right here. These are the two trees they really want to take down. See how close they are to the house? And then this is another big one. This is the neighbor
With
right here.
exposed roots.
Exposed roots. I'll probably pan up. It's pretty big. And that is right behind the house. Those are. So these are the first two that they wanted to take down when they came in.
They're within
And,
the driveway area.
Yeah, and then when I did the RDA, I put 2 to 4 because which was good because they called me up and said, "Oh, there's another couple they want to take down." So yeah, the ad said 2 to 4, so I'm speculating those are the 4 trees.
Board, what's your opinion on this? Obviously, the two very close to the house. If we label the 4 total that Steve has done, well, has shown us on the video. Steve, you'll have to tell them which ones
There is an intermittent
we've
stream. And
authorized.
yeah, there's an old stream that kind of goes into a dry well, you know, in the right-hand corner. But if they ever had to do some work, they'd have to come back for that. But it must have been something they did back in the 50s.
The house looks like a lot of things were done to it in the 50s.
Runs with the neighborhood.
Yep.
Yeah.
So board, any questions on this?
Do we know where the wetland is in relation to the trees?
Yes.
And what,
Yeah.
Yeah, there is, we've got the plan.
Let's see, the video, it's to the right here, Mark. You'll see my camera died, right? So here's the dry well, or here's a well. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, hang on. So there's a stream, the stream comes down here, drops into an inlet and comes into here, and then it gets piped out into somewhere, the street, I think. Let me see if I have a plan.
Terrible. Okay.
I have no problem with taking the trees.
Okay.
Yeah. Same.
That is
I mean,
not really a highly, a great wetland.
right. It's not a
It's more, it's
not
like
a
a
friendly
drainage.
environment for a lot of species.
No.
All right, good, I agree.
There, I don't think the trees are providing any shade for that wetlands.
I don't think so either.
So as far as bank, as far as warming up,
I
yeah,
mean, we're still gonna say no stumping, right? We're not gonna.
correct.
Yeah.
So it'll be stabilized still.
So yeah, certainly the ones that are in pavement.
So, I'll entertain a motion to take down up to 4 trees as shown on the video and on the submitted plan with Steve's direction on the other 2 additional trees.
So moved.
Okay, motions, well, we need a negative determination.
Oh,
So moved for what?
for the RDA.
Yep, negative RDA for 25 Ritchie Road.
With
Good
the
job,
condition
Mike.
of
Okay,
snow.
motion's been made by Mike,
Second,
Seconded.
second by KG. Roll call vote.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mungumai.
Eric Harris, aye.
Tracy Sharkey, aye, with the additional condition that there shall be no stumping. Okay, all right, that was, okay, Steve, what is this discussion, Zero Walm Lake Road Solar Project?
So I think Tim, the engineer, Tim, hi, Tim. since
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to recuse myself, so I want to know what it is first.
Well,
So
it's,
did you put it under
yeah, so-
discussion? Is it an open hearing?
No. It's just an update to the project. So they're about to start. I was contacted by the applicant or the contractor. I told them that they had to file the notice of intent and give us the booking page. So that's one. Two, I asked in the order of conditions, section 1A, we have now the ability that we can either go out to outside consultants to review it, or we can do 53E1/2, which is they pay a fee for me to go out and review it, and I track my time. And so I
Okay,
think-
so let me just pause you there and I'll recuse myself from this discussion for ASD Wallem Solar, and I will pass it to Vice Chair KG.
Thank you.
Great. So that was one of them. So right off the bat, the commission doesn't have any issues to go with the 53E1/2. They submitted a $2,000 check to cover my time that if I go out once or twice a week for the next several months.
No, we don't have a problem with that. Do
Okay,
we need
good.
to make a motion about not having a problem with that?
Sure.
All right. So
Just
read
vote to exercise the 53E1/2.
53.
E1/2. That's a state statute that allows us to.
Okay. All right, I will entertain a motion.
Oh, okay. I'm not good with motions, but I will make the motion that we allow Steve to make visits to the Wallem Lake Road solar site to review the work that's underway there under chapter 53E
and a half. Yep.
and a half.
Thank you. So, second?
Is that a motion? I'll second that if that's a motion.
Yep. Okay, all in favor?
Mike
Mark
Greco,
Mungem,
aye.
aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Eric Harris, aye.
KG Dudley, aye. Thank you.
All right, great, thank you. So another aspect was the, before we get to stormwater, was they submitted the NIPD's permit. And I think I gave a copy of that, a link to the commission members, which is part of the NOI. But with that, they also had a letter from the United States Department of Interior Fish and Wildlife Services.
Okay.
That got into the explanation how there's some issues with bats. So Tim, I don't know if you want to give some update on that. I mean, I think I emailed that to the members. There's a Google link on the drive. And so I usually don't come across letters from the Department of Interior and Fish and Wildlife. And so I wasn't too sure on what to do with that. I actually forwarded that to Natural Heritage and Endangered Species to get some advice from them, but they never responded. So I just want to let the commission aware. I don't know if it's it wasn't part of the notice of intent. I don't know if it was part of their NIPD's filing, which was after.
Sure. For the record, my name's Tim Sullivan. I'm with TRC representing the project. We submitted the NIPD's application because our read of the order of conditions was that one of the conditions required that we submit it. And the document from the Fish and Wildlife Service was an attachment to the NIPD's permit. So essentially, both documents kind of complete the filing for coverage under the NIPD's program for the construction general permit. Similar to how Massachusetts works through the Natural Heritage Program, when you obtain a federal permit, you have to coordinate with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And within the last few years, the northern long-eared bat was listed as a threatened species federally. It's, I believe, thought to live everywhere across the state. And part of the process of what's called the Section 7 consultation with Fish and Wildlife Service is you submit information through the federal government's IPAC certification process for information relative to potential impact to the northern long-eared bat. The main areas of concern we were talking about the bat would be the primary trees that are used for roosting, and that those are known, and Natural Heritage has a map that kind of shows where those known locations are. The closest one to the site here is, I believe it's in Sturbridge. It's definitely west of I-84 from the map that I'm looking at. It's a little hard to tell whether it's in Sturbridge or the next town to the west. And then there's also some thoughts about the time of year when roosting would potentially happen, which is usually June or July. So that's where they would have the most concerns for work in the bat habitat. Would be either you're working very close, or potentially disturbing one of those trees, or that you're cutting trees during the time of year when there would be roosting. So in this case, we have neither of those circumstances. So the letter that came back from from the Fish and Wildlife Service essentially says that they don't have concerns with the project moving forward.
All right, great. So thank you, Tim. I just wanted, because we got the letter, so I wasn't too sure. A lot of it was a little bit of more of a legalese aspect of it. So I just wanted to make sure the commission got it, that we kind of, everyone is clear that we did get that letter and what it meant. The other aspect was, which I'm still a little confused about, is that the stormwater management plan it went back to the planning board for them to revise the plan, or the plan got revised. So chronologically, Tim, and why I'm confused is that initially this project was approved by planning board because back about a year ago, and it was 100% outside the commission's jurisdiction. So there was no permit with the commission. So the plan got approved, and then they wanted to do selective cutting. And so that plan that was approved by planning board and the stormwater, I believe at the time, that went in front of the Conservation Commission as a notice of intent, and that triggered the stormwater review from the commission and the DEP. And so comments were made with the stormwater over the summer during our public hearing based on DEP's comments. And then that was reviewed by the town engineer and TRC's engineer, and that got approved. So the commission approved a plan and the stormwater that was essentially approved by the town engineer and the Conservation Commission. And that plan, I'm assuming, had some changes. The conservation's plan that was approved by the commission had some changes that it had to go back in front of planning board. So has the plan that the conservation approved, the stormwater that they approved back in August, has that changed?
My understanding is that through the planning board process, and I don't know the chronology of it. There was a request from the town engineer through the planning board process to alter some of the way the water would flow on the site underneath the solar panels. So there were berms that kind of directed stormwater or kept stormwater out of different areas, and the feeling was that those berms were potentially could potentially cause erosion or would be long-term maintenance issues. So by removing those berms, essentially, what you had two basins that were proposed on the site to manage stormwater. By changing the berms or removing the berms, that slightly changed the watershed to each one of the basins. So at the request of the planning board, by removing those berms, we subsequently had to change one of the basins to address the difference in flows for the stormwater. And I guess all of that occurs within the solar field, proper. So it doesn't result in a change of the footprint of the project, or or change of the erosion control boundary, or any additional work within the 100-foot buffer zone. It occurs. The grading of the basin is further away from the wetland than the basin was originally or originally approved.
Right, but was the changes after so is the changes were after the commission changed it and after it was approved by, so the planning board wanted the changes and not the town engineer after we approved the plan?
That's my understanding. I
And you
guess
know
I would
why?
suggest discussing it with him as the order. I wasn't involved directly at that point in time in the project, so. But there was a condition in the planning board approval to remove the berms. So this was to address the planning board's comment.
So
The plan, so basically there's some minor, I guess, there's some slight changes to stormwater management with the size of the basins that are being modified based on planning board and the town engineer's review. After the Conservation Commission approved the notice of intent. Is that what I'm getting, Tim?
That's my understanding, that the request, maybe came in at the site during, the reviews were happening concurrently, but that the planning board approval had this request in it, and this was to address that request, which I believe happened. I know there was a while from the time when the hearing happened before the commission, before the order was issued. So I believe that that's correct, that it happened in that intervening time. And for discussion is, I don't, the stormwater system itself, and all of the capturing areas are outside of the are outside of the buffer zone, as you discussed, Steve. The filing was predominantly for tree work that's outside of the footprint of the site.
Yeah,
So
it's just that the DEP, when you filed that the stormwater was with the NOI for the tree clearing triggered the entire stormwater, which was that was reviewed by DEP. So it's all under the purview of the commission, the stormwater. So that's why it was, I thought TRC and the town engineer approved the stormwater in August 11th. So I don't know, from August 11th to now, there must have been, it went back in front of the planning board for more changes after that was approved. I don't know where the breakdown is. So I just wanted the commission to know that the stormwater basin and the design that they approve has changed a little bit. I mean, is it significant? Is it minor?
it doesn't say it's my understanding is that it changed, the watershed's changed. So I guess more, there was a basin 1 and a basin 2. I know we don't have the plans in front of us, so a little more water goes to basin 2. So in order to address that, basin 2 was made slightly bigger, so that the flows coming out of that basin would remain the same, post construction. Basin 1, although less water was going to it, it was already designed, so there wasn't a change made to basin 1.
Steve, I think at the very least, we should get a revised plan and an explanation of what occurred so that we have it for our records.
Yeah, I don't think they need to file or need to advertise or anything, but I think that should come before our board.
I just don't know why it changed after it was approved by.
Oh, I totally understand, but I mean,
I don't
what's
know
our
where the
standard
change is coming
process?
from. Who initiated the change and when? It was approved in August by the engineer in the town and us, and also it's what triggered the change. And so,
Well, I mean, good, bad, or otherwise.
Yes, I mean, usually conservation doesn't close our hearing until the planning board is finished.
They were all in a big rush in August.
Correct. So my understanding is that the planning board approval required that a revised drainage plan be submitted with the berms removed, and so that the planning board meeting last week was to address the comments in the planning board approval.
Okay.
Well, I was just wondering why that wasn't addressed
earlier.
prior to us approving it.
I mean, it is what it is, right?
Mm.
Good, bad, or otherwise. So, like I said, I think that we should see the plan again, preferably with red lines, marked red lines. What are the changes? I want to understand them.
I agree.
Thank you. Is that something we can get, Tim?
Sure, I believe we submitted the plans with a letter to Steve last week. So if there's additional comments that we can make or additional information, I'm happy to provide.
I don't think I did. I got a link, but today, but the link didn't open.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think I just saw the letter. I didn't ever get any revised plans or anything because I think the conversation I had with TRC is that earlier in the week is that I had a conversation with the construction company, how they wanted to start with the erosion control and started, installing erosion control, and how my conversation is, well, they have to have the order of conditions. And then they mentioned how that they're going back in front of the planning board because of this issue. And I was a little surprised that they were doing that. I thought we were all set with the stormwater and if it was going to change. And I was worried that that's happening after the fact and how significant that's going to be. Has there been, and that's still, but I don't think, based on your letter today, that still hasn't been approved by the town engineer or the planning board, has it? The revised changes?
So there was a planning board hearing on Thursday, or sorry, on Wednesday of last week. My understanding is that the decision was that it didn't need to come back in front of the planning board formally, and that the town engineer was going to, look at the package and make sure that that it addressed the planning board's request, and that was going to be the process that was taken.
So Steve, you don't have the materials we'd like. I mean, Tim, is that something you can provide Steve between now and our next meeting? We've got a whole month now with the holiday in there.
Yes, I can certainly provide can certainly provide a plan. So the plan would be a plan with a red line markup.
Yep.
And a letter.
Now, I don't think there's too much of an issue. Whatever the changes are, I think we just like to know what they are.
Sure.
But I think if they're going to come back, and since we don't have a meeting till December 7th, I know they're going to want to get, they have the order of conditions. Does the commission have any issue with them putting the erosion controls in and start prepping the site?
Board?
I don't.
No.
Right, good.
Yeah, so I don't think that's an issue.
Okay, good. Yeah, so it's just one of those procedural things. We just like to have the correct plan, and so when you do the as-built, just still a little confusion. But I know it was Gavin.
Sure. Yes.
Yep. They've been very responsive and calling me and updating me, so that's a good sign. I think they just want to get the why it's good weather and stuff. Hopefully put the erosion controls in and the berms and in just start prepping it so they can start clearing eventually.
Steve, you also have the information on the bats.
Where, to you? Yeah, it's on the Google Drive. I sent to everybody on Saturday. Yeah, it's
Thank
It's a link. There's a link to it. You want me to bring it up right now?
No, I don't know that we need to. I just
Okay.
I thought that was interesting if we need to consider bat houses in future conditions.
Yeah, natural heritage should be captured in natural heritage's review under a normal process. So if this project were closer to one of the hibernacula, there should be a priority habitat that's associated with it. In this case, in this case there isn't, but that's sort of how the state captures that that part of their review.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
All right, board, do we have any other questions or concerns on this one?
So I just wanted to make sure I was kind of clear on the next step. So I'll provide for December 7th, we'll provide a new plan and with a markup on it and a letter. We don't have to advertise, and it's not a formal hearing revision. It's providing information for the file. I just want to make sure I'm clear on what I need to do for that. Okay. And then the site folks who are hoping to start with erosion controls this week, and then kind of move into some of the erosion controls can be put in without any of the tree removals. They were going to try to set up a meeting with Steve, I think, in the next week or so to get those set of erosion controls complete, and then kind of move into the tree removals and the site work, so they can move forward on the work that they need to do while we're addressing getting the file correct on the stormwater changes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So we'll put you back on a new discussion for the 7th.
Okay. Yep. And I'll try to get you those plans as soon as I can. So if there's any questions, if it's not if there's additional information, we'll be able to address that as well.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay.
So
Clap 3 times and Tracy comes back.
All right. Do we want to look at October 5th or October 19th, or just wait for Art, maybe?
I would really appreciate Art's input to the minutes.
Okay, and we'll just wrap those up before the end of the year, and then our meeting schedule for 2021.
Oh, wow.
Steve, did you prepare that yet?
I did, but I asked Maria, she's back. So I asked, she comes Wednesday, Thursday, I think she works. I asked, she's an expert on town meetings and elections and holidays. So knowing me, I'd probably put a couple of meetings when we weren't going to be able to meet.
Okay.
So I just asked her to vet it before I officially sent it to you.
Great.
But
All right,
it's
Board,
typical-
anything else?
Typical schedule.
Sorry, Steve.
I'm sorry, it's a typical schedule that we usually have.
Yeah.
So the dates look right.
Okay. Some Tuesdays mixed in there.
Hopefully not, but yes, that confuses everybody.
I know. Okay, Board, anything else? Steve, do you have anything?
Vote to adjourn.
Nice.
Motion's been made,
Seconded.
seconded, roll call vote.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mungem,
Eric Harris, aye.
And happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Bye. Good job tonight, everybody.